Hello everyone, hope you are fine and welcome to today's video. So today we are going to create a React.js application. So specifically we will use Next.js, which is a React.js framework. So let me show you what we are going to create in this project. So here you can see right now I am in my homepage. So this is the homepage of our little application and you can see nice homepage. And here you can see we have two options. Explore meals and saved meals, and if I come here in our explore meals, I can see all of my meals, and based on our selected category we will see the meals, and you can select any of the categories that is here. So now you can see these are the meals. So here also if you want to, you can search for any kind of meals. So let's search for, so you can see we have a searched meals, and if I come here inside of this meal, you can see all of the information about the meal. We have the ingredients table, all the ingredients are listed here, and after that we have our instructions, all the instructions to make this meal. And if you like this meal, if you want to save that, you can do that here. So right now I already saved this meal, so that's why it is you can see that I already saved that. And if you want to remove that from the saved list, you can do that. Now I removed this from my saved list. Actually I like biryani, so let's actually save that. And if I come here in my saved list, I can see all of my saved meals are here. So you can see this is really awesome and really interesting application. So all of these fetching stuff we will do it with React query, so which is really interesting package. So using React query you can fetch the data which you can cache, so whenever someone will revisit that, they will see the cached value. So this is really interesting. So and also not only you can cache it, you can prefetch data for your user. So here what we will do is we will prefetch all the saved list. So whenever we'll come here, there will be no loading for the saved meals because those will be prefetched for the user. And all the interesting thing that you see here, we will do it inside the project. So I'm really excited for that. And also one more thing I want to say, that there will be a live demo link in the video description. So from here you can come to this project and explore this project. So before you go to the full video tutorial, you can see what you are going to build in this project. So if you like that, you can continue with me inside the video description. So if you like this project, then you can continue with me. So that's all. I hope you will like it, and I will see you inside the project. So here first of all let's create the Next.js application. So here you can see in the Next.js documentation, if you want to create the application with npm, you can use this command. I will use this one because I want to use it with yarn. So for that I can come here in my terminal, and in my terminal I need to run this command, and after that it will ask some questions here. So let's actually say that I will create this project in the current directory, so that's why I just put this dot. So after that it will go ahead and install React DOM and Next.js, and after that it will also install the ESLint and ESLint config next. Great. So once we have done that, after that you can see all of my files are here. So right now here in our pages we have this API which we do not need, so let's delete that. And in our app.js we can see that we are actually importing this global CSS which we do not need, so delete that. And in our index file you can see we have bunch of HTML here which we do not need, so also delete that and create a h1, normal h1, so hello world. And after that we do not need head, image and styles, so delete those. So if I save that, and after that if I open up my let me open up my server, so npm run dev, which will open our server, development server. So if I come here in my localhost 3000, and here you can see hello world text. Great. So now after that we need to set up our ESLint. So right now we have this ESLint basic setup from Next.js, so which we do not need, so delete that. And also here in our package.json we can see we have ESLint config next. So what I will do is I will uninstall that. and that's all, and that's it. So if you want to actually have a great explanation of how to set up ESLint for any kind of JavaScript project, you can watch my video. I already have a video, so I will link it in the description. Watch the ESLint video, then you can actually set up it as you want. So that's all. Once we have our ESLint set up, after that let's go to our actual project. So right now let's actually set up my styles. So right now we have this styles folder where we have global.css, which is we have by default, and also home.module.css. we do not need the home one, we need the global one. So in our global one, let's have my CSS. I will just copy and paste it, the CSS that I have. What you can do, actually you can go ahead to the source code of this project and grab the CSS. We will not write any kind of CSS in this project. You can actually grab the CSS or any kind of styles from the source code. So now we have our global CSS. Just I paste all the CSS here, and after that in our app I need to import that. So let's actually import the global CSS. So here I will say import, and after that styles and global CSS. So that's all, and styles globals, okay, there will be this s, and that's all. So now we have our global CSS, and after that we need to also go to our document. So right now we have app, but we can actually go to a little bit in the root. We can actually create a underscore document.js. so this will be file for our document. So this underscore document.js file is the root level of our whole application. So here let's say that class and my document. I believe I can actually create functional component here, that will be no problem. So let's actually name it, and let's say that my document, and here we do not need this, and also let's change the name here, my document. Once we have that, here we need to come here, and instead of that I will have my HTML. So this will be HTML from our React. So as you can see, this HTML, this is a React Next.js tag, which is coming from next/document. And after that, inside this HTML we will also have the head, which will be also coming from next document. And inside this head we can have our manual things. So for our application we need a custom font, and that's the font. And for the font I can actually have my link here. So I just grab this link from the Google Fonts. So you can go to the API, fonts.googles.com, and grab your font whatever you want. Once you have that, after that you can actually come here in the body. So this is the normal body tag, HTML body tag, and inside that you can have your main. So this main will be from the document as well, and this is the main where we'll have our main application. And after that we need our next script. So next script, and we need to import that from the document as well. So once we have that, we have all of the things here, you can see. And if I now come here in our application, I can see my hello world, and the font is changed. If you notice, the font is now the font that we have. So here you can see we are having Mirza, but it is not having the Mirza font, but the font is now not the default HTML font. It is I do not know what is the font family, but it is looking nicer than the default one. So now we have our custom document.js. So now let's get to our app.js. So here in our app.js we need to set up our React query. So let's do that. So for that I need to import the query client. So let's say that constant query client equals to, so we need to get the query client from our React query. So for that we need to use the new query client. So, and this query client we need to import that from React query. Right now we do not have the package, so that's why we are not getting the auto import here. So let's install that. So let's install the React query, and for that I can come here in my terminal and I say yarn add. So this is the React query, and also 10 stack slash React query and DevTools. So these two package, one is the 10 stack React query, and after that we have 10 stack React query DevTools. So these two will be necessary, so install these two. Once we have that, after that we will have our React query in our project. So now what we can do is we can import this from React query, and still we are not getting any kind of auto import, but we will get that eventually. So what I need to do is whenever we will create React query, here we can provide some default options. So default options here, and inside that we can set up our queries and queries cache time, and I want 1 hour. So for that 1 into 60 into 60 into 1000. So I want the same amount of time for our stale time. So this is actually how much frequently you want to actually fetch the data. So we want 1 hour, so because the data that we will be fetching, it will not change frequently, so I think it is good to have 1 hour as a stale time, and also we want cache time 1 hour. So let's try to import that. Still we are not getting it, so let's manually import it. So let's say that I think we are not getting auto import because we have this mistake. So this will be query client with capital Q, and if I try to do that now, I think still not. And let's auto import it. So query client with capital Q, and after that this will be from 10 stack slash React query. So that's all. And if I come here in our projects, we are not having that. Why? Unexpected error occurred. Okay, I can see that. I think we are actually having this issue because we have a package log JSON, and also we have yarn log. So let's remove the package log and try to do that one more time. So this is the React query version 4 documentation. So let's come here in the docs and installation. Yeah, this is the command yarn at React query. If I try to run that, now it is actually installing React query. And also let's install the DevTools. So DevTools, here it is, yarn add 10 stacked React query DevTools. I do not know what was the problem. So now we have our React query and React query DevTools. So now we have our query client, and after that I can come here in my application, and here we can actually set it up. So for that I will use I need to wrap all the things inside of query provider. So here I will say, let's have it here, and let's say that query provider, query client provider actually. So this is the one. Yes, we are having our auto import here, and after that we can have this component inside of our query client. What was the problem? Oh, this thing, it should be here. So now we are good to go. So now we have our query client provider, and here in our query client provider we need to provide the client. So the client will be query client so this is the query client that we got here. So now we have our React query setup. After that we need to set up the toast package that we will be using. So the name is the React hot toast. So let's also install that. So yarn add React hot toast. So yarn add React hot toast, and after that, to have that I need to have the toast, I think toaster, the component name. Import that from React hot toast, and after that in our toaster we need to provide some option here. So this will be position. So I want the position in the bottom right, and also we need to have some toast options, and here I will have my options. So this will be an object, so that's why we need to create another object here. So inside that I will say toast options, and inside the toast options we need to provide the style, and here I will say the style will be font size of 1.4 em. This will be 1.4 em. That's all. So now we have our hot toast setup. Great. So after that we also need some layout. So for that let's create a component called layout. So let's create a folder in our root components. So this will be the folder components, and inside that we will have another folder with the name of layout, and inside the layout we will have our layout file, which is the layout components. So layout.js, have the correct spell here, layout.js. So let's create the component. So this is the layout. So here in our layout we will have all of our nav and footer. So here in our layout, first thing I will say children, and we will pass that children here, and after that we will have our nav and footer in this layout. So for that I will have those later, and here instead of that I will say for now let's say that this is footer, and also let's have another h1 where I will say this is header, and now we need to use that. So let's come here in our app. So here this component, so this is the main component tree, which we need to say which we need to wrap with the layout, and if I do that, import the layout, now we should have our layout ready. So now if I come here I can see this is header, and after that we have our main component hello world, and after that we can see the footer. Great. And also for our layout we need some CSS, means styles. So for that let's create a new file beside that with the name of layout.module.scss. So here in our layout.module.scss we will have some style. So just paste it, and we need to come here in our layout and import the classes. Module.scss, and we are not having any kind of CSS package. I think that will be a problem, but we'll have eventually. But for now, let's say that for our class we will have these children wrapped with a div. So this div here will have a class name, and inside the class name we'll have classes dot container. So this container class is coming from our this layout module.css, as you can see. And also here, as I said, we are not having any kind of SAS. So let's actually install SAS in our project. So for that, all I need to do is npm install, or sorry, yarn-add SAS. And if I do that, now we have our SAS here. Now this will be fine. If I save that, still we are having some problem. Let's actually close the server and reopen it. Okay, I think I need to so here you can see this this error is actually this is unable to resolve the path because we just forget to give it a relative path. So this will be dot slash, and after that it will get the file. So now it is fine. And after that, if I come here in our project, I should see, so this hello world, you can see there is a small gap. So because this is now wrapped with our container, so this will be our layout where all of our container will have a specific layout. Great. And we'll see this working whenever we will have more content. So let's also have this header inside of this container, and now we should see this. So now you can see this header is also having this gap. Great. And finally, let's create the navbar. So to have the navbar, I will create another file inside of our layout with the name of navbar.js, and here rfce to create a functional component. And also let's create another file with the name of, and also let's create another file with the name of navbar.module.css. So this will be our navbar style. So let's have the style here. So here in our navbar, let's actually delete that, and here I will have my nav tag, which is the HTML tag, and inside that I will have my link. So this will be from our next link, and here inside that we will have href property, and this will be our homepage link. And after that we'll have a class here, sorry, we'll have an anchor tag without any kind of href, and I have class name, and here I will say classes dot logo. And also let's import the classes from the style file. So classes from navbar.module.css. And once we have this anchor tag, inside this anchor tag we'll have our image, which will be coming from next image, and inside that we'll have our logo. So source will be the logo. So we need to get the logo. So right now we are not having any kind of images. So let me actually copy the images folder here. So inside of our root directory we'll have this. So in our root directory, let's paste the folder. So now you can see where it is. So now you can see we have the not here. So first time we just paste this inside of our component, but it will be in our root directory. So in our root directory you can see we have our images. Now we can actually get the logo from here, import logo from, and we need to go to the root directory, images, and inside the images it is the mail coach underscore logo dot png. So that's all, and if I save that, now we should have a logo. Great. So after that we also need our nav link. So let's get a ul node.list, and inside that we will have li. So in our ul we'll have a class name where I'll say classes dot nav links. So these classes are coming from directly our styles. So if you want to actually if you're curious, you can come here and see all of the styles. And here in our li I will have, sorry, here in our li I will have my link. So the link will be from our next, and here in the link I will say href will be meals. So this will be our meals page, and here I will have the meals. So this will be text. Copy this, paste it for our second link, and this will be saved meals, and here I will say saved lists, like that. So now if I want to use that, I can come here in our layout, and instead of this h1 I can say navbar and import that navbar. And if I come here in our project, I should see this navbar. So they are not having the proper style, these two, because this nav is not having an important class. So let's have the class, which is the classes dot navbar. And if I do that, now I should see them in proper place. So this is our nav menu, malkuj, and this is the nav links. Great. And after that we need to create our footer. So let's get back to our layout folder. Let's create a new file with the name of footer.js. And also here in our footer we need another file with the name of footer.module.scss. And here in our footer.module.scss, let's have the footer class. Copy and paste the scss files. So in our footer, let's say that rfce to create a functional component, and also import classes from footer.module.scss. Great. So now once we have that, after that we can use our classes. So here instead of div I will use footer tag, and here inside the footer, first of all in our footer we'll have a class name. So this will be classes dot footer, like that. And here I will say we'll have image. So this will be our logo actually, so source, and this image will be from the next image, and the source will be our logo. So this logo, import logo from, we need to go to the images, and here we have meal coach logo primary png. So the have the proper name, and once we have that, here once we have a logo, after the logo we'll have a text, and this text we need to actually create that. Right now we do not have, so let's have a paragraph for now. And here I will say let me actually copy and paste it here. Great. And so basically I think this is the tagline for our project. And after that we'll have another text. Here we'll have a class name. So this class name will be classes dot copyright, like that. And here inside of our paragraph we'll have our copyright text. Let me copy that. Great. And that's all for our footer. And if I come here in my layout, I can use that. So here instead of this h1 I can say footer. Great. And if I come here in my project, I can see my footer, but the text you can see here, it is not having the proper style. So let's actually have my component. So we need another component, which is the text. So after that we need to create the text component that we are talking about. So let's get a new folder with the name of text, and inside that we'll have our text.js, and also beside that another file, text.module.scss. So here just paste the scss files, and after that in our text component I can create a rfce to get a functional component. And here what I can do is I can create a reusable component. So this will be for all of our text. So let's create it with the p tag, and here inside that we'll have the children. Whatever children we will pass it here. And let's have it here. So here in our p tag we need some classes. So here we will add our classes, and we will have some conditional class in our this project. So to make it easier, we can install a package named classx. So let's actually use that. So yarn add classx. So this is a small utility package. This will help us to have classes conditionally, and we will see it in action very soon. Classx, and here inside that you can provide anything. So I will say class. So I need to import the CSS first of all. Classes from Windows say text dot module.css. Once we have that, now we can use that classes dot, and this is the text, and here beside this text class we also need to have one more class. So if we want to have our custom class here from the parent, we can actually have that. So for that I will receive a prop here with the name of class name. So if someone provide this class name, I will add it here. If they do not pass this class name, it will not be added here. So classx will take care of it, and it will add this conditionally. If it is available, then it will add it, otherwise it will not add it. So great. Now we have our text, and if I come here in our project, I can see it is not using it. So let's go to our footer, and in our footer, instead of this paragraph, let's have the text, and we need to import that. And also here we need the same text, and if I do that, I can come here and I can see now we have our text, which is looking good. So now we have our layout ready. So now after that let's work on our home page. So right now we have our home page. If I go to our pages folder, we have this index.js. So this is our home page. So right now we are having this h1. So instead of that, let's have our hero sections for our home page. So let's create a component. In our components folder, we have, let's create a new folder for our this home page. So home, and inside that we will have all of the components which will be used in our home page. So here we'll have hero section.js, and also beside that hero section.module.css, and here let's paste all the hero section styles. So after that, let's create a functional component in this hero section. So let's create it with RFCE. If you are curious how I am actually creating this shorthand, how I am using it, so you can use this extension. I believe I have extension for that. Yep, I think this is the one. So you can install that. This is very popular extension which will allow you to have this nice snippet. And now once we install that, we can actually have this snippet. So great. Now we have our hero section. Here inside of our hero section, first thing I will do is I will import the classes. Import the classes. The name is the hero section. And here let's say that instead of div, I will have my section, and inside this section I will have my div with a class name of, so this will be hero container. So classes dot hero container, and also we have a class, we'll have a class here in our section. So classes dot, this will be hero section, and here inside the div we will have our info first. So let's get a div with a class of hero info, and here we will say we will have a title. So let's get h1, and here we'll have a class name classes dot the name is the hero title, and here I will have a nice title. So let me actually copy it. So the title text will be this one, and inside that we'll have this span, and I will show you what it will do. Is basically we will have a separate color for these two words, so that's why I just wrapped these two word with S pen. And after that we have our h1, and after the closing h1 we will have our text. So this is the component that we already created, and inside that we will have this text, and we are not having this auto import, but I do not know why. So let's also have a div here, and in this div we will have a class name. This class name will have a class hero buttons, and inside this div we will have our button. So for the button, for now let's have this button. This is just a regular HTML button, hello. We will have our button letter. Something wrong here, or let's have anchor tag. So after the buttons we will have our hero images. So for that, after all this info, so this is the info and this is the closing info, and after that we will have a div here, div which will have a class name of classes dot hero image, and here I will have a image. This will be from next image, and here I will say the source will be hero image, and let's import that. Import hero image. So this will be from, we need to go to the images folder, and here I will have hero underscore image dot png. Sorry, not png, it is jpg. And that's all. And also let's import text from text slash text. Now we have all of our component here. So if I want to actually use that, I can go to our index file. So instead of this h1, now we can use hero section component. And now if I come here in our website, I can see this title, you can see, and these two are the words, those we actually wrapped with the smen, so that we can provide this specific color. And also we have our image, hero image. And one thing you can see, we are not having our buttons because we do not have our buttons component. So let's actually create the components for our buttons. So for that, let's actually come here in our components. Let's get a new folder actually with the name of buttons, and inside that we'll have our button.js, and also beside that we need another file, button.module.scss. Great. So rfce to create a functional component, sorry, not here. So in our module we need some style. Let's copy the style and paste it. So in our button.js file, we need to create a functional component here, and inside that, so here we will have two kind of buttons. So one will be button with link and another one will be button without a link. So we need to create two buttons. So for that, let's say that I will have a button first of all which will be with a link. So this will be a normal button which will be actually for redirecting us from one page to another. So here will be a link. So let's say that I will get a link from our parent. So by default it will be / only. So children, and also we'll have a variant. So here we will have two variants. So first one will be primary and second one will be secondary, and by default it will be a secondary button. Great. Now once we have all of them, actually we forgot here to do something. So this will be equal sign, not the colon. Great. We have all of our props here. After that, instead of having the div here, I will have, sorry, instead of having the button text, I will have children here, and here instead of having a div, I will have an anchor tag because this will be a button with a link. So for actual link, I will use this link from our next link. Here inside the link I will provide href, where I will say whatever the link here. So great. And also here in our a we need to provide some props. So the first thing that I will say is the type. So the type will be button. Great. And after that we'll have our class name. So this class name will be, so we will use classes here. So one more time I can say classes, or sorry, class X, something like that. Import that. So inside that we will say, first thing I need to do is I need to import the styles here. So import classes from, we need to say button.module.scss, like that. So once we have our classes, I can use that classes.button. So one class that is, and another one will be, so based on our variant, if variant is actually primary, then we will have a class which will be variant underscore primary, and if it is secondary, then we will have a class variant underscore secondary. So for that, what I can do is I can say class name will be classes dot, and I will use actually instead of dot I will use a square bracket here, and we will have a custom text, and for that I can use backtick, and here I will say variant, and after that whatever the variant is. So we can use JavaScript inside the backticks. So that's what I will do here, and I will use variant, like that. So now we have our class here, and it will be, if it is primary, the class will be this one, and if it is secondary, the class will be this one. Great. Now we are ready. So now we have a button with a link, and with the same thing, let's copy that, and we'll have another button which will be button without a link. So let's rename that, and let's say that button, actually this is the button with link, and this is button without link, which will be our by default button. So the button that is without a link, this one will not need any kind of link, that's all, and we do not need this link, and instead of an anchor tag it will be button tag. So that's all. So now we have this button with link and normal button, and here this button with link, that will be our default export. So button with link, this is our default export, and we will have this button as a name export. So export, and I will say button. So now we have these two, button and button with link. We are exporting it from here, and now if I want to use that in our home page, in our hero section, actually I can actually call that. So this one will be a button with link. So I will say button with link, and here I will need to provide the link, and the link will be, so this button will be for our meals, so the link will be meals, something like that. And for our text I can also say meals, and let's say that this will be something like that. So once we have that, and if I come here in our website, I can see a meals button, but it is a secondary button because we do not have any kind of variant. So let's say that the variant that we want will be the primary, and let's see, now it is having a primary button. And also here, instead of only meals, I will say explore meals, and also we'll have the same thing for our secondary, but this one will be saved meals, and also this one will be secondary, which means we do not need to pass it because by default it will be a secondary button. And here I will say saved meals. Great. Now if I come here in our project, I can see explore meals, saved meals, these two are buttons, and great. Now we are done with our hero section, and after that we need to work on our about. So once we are done with our hero section, after that we will have a about section in the home page. So for that, in our components we have our home, we'll have a new file with the name of about, about.js, and also another file here with the name of about.module.scss. about.module.scss. Here we will have our css and paste that. So now in our about, let's get RFC. So this will be really a straightforward component. So in our about, we will have a title here. So inside this div, first of all, we will have class name. So for that we need classes. So here what I will say is we'll have classes dot about, and inside that we will have a title, and for the title we need to create our component. So let's come back to our text folder. Inside that, let's create a title.js. so this will be our title, and beside that we also need the style for it. So title.module.scss, and let's have our title styles, and let's paste it. So here in our title, first thing I will do is I will create a functional component, and inside that I will say it will be h2, and instead of that I will have my children, and also let's destructure the children prop. Once we do that, after that we need to import classes. Import classes like that, and let's use that. So in our h2 I will have a class name, and also here I will use class x. So this is the package, and inside that we can say classes dot title and also class name. So this class name we will get it from our prop for our custom css or custom styles. So variant will be, so there will be some variant for this title as well. So let's say that for our variant, this will be primary as a default, and we will also put that here, and I will say classes dot, and we will use a square bracket here, and inside that backticks, and I will say title underscore whatever the variant is. Great, now we can use that. So let's come back to our about page, and here I will use the title. Import it, and here as a text I will say, and if I come here in my page, okay, we are not getting it because we are not using it. So index, and here after the hero section I will have my about section. Great. Okay, there is a problem here. In JSX you can only return one child, so we need to wrap it with a parent. So great, I will use React fragment here, and after that if I come here I can see our title which is coming from our about. Great, and after that all we need to do is we need to do some text for our about. So come here in our title, and after that let's create the text, which is a component that we created, and after that paste some text here, and that's all for our about. And if I come here I can see nice about section. Great, so we are done with our home page. After that we will go to our meals page. So here in our project, after our home page, let's work on our meals page. So right now we do not have any kind of page for our meals, so let's get a new folder with the name of meals, and inside that we'll have our index.js. So in the Next.js, what we have is we have our file structure based routing system. So whatever inside this pages folder we have, that will be our pages. So right now inside the pages we have our meals and index.js. So we should have a page with a path of meals, so rfce, and if I save that, and if I come here in our home page, and if I click this, now we have a page with a path of these meals, as you can see. Great, So now let's come here, and also here in our meals page we need some style. So let's get a new file with the name of meals.module.css, and here we will have some style. So let me copy it and paste it over here. And now in our meals index.js we can actually import classes from, we can say, meals.module.css, and import classes correctly. So after that, in our meals page here, let me actually close this, and here inside this div we will have a class name. So this will be our classes dot meals page. So inside that, first thing we will have is we'll have a search bar. So search bar, let's actually create the component. Right now we do not have that, so let's go to our components folder, and inside the components we will have a new folder now for our meals page. So all the things that we will be using inside this meals page, we will have it in this meals page component folder. So inside the meals page component folder we will have our search bar. So let's have search bar dot js, and inside that beside this folder, beside this file, we will have another file for our css. So search bar dot module as css. Great. Now we will have our, so now in our search bar, let's come here and create a function component, and also let's import the classes from search bar, and here in the search bar I will have an input, and we will have a class here. So class name will be classes dot input, and the value, so the value we will have it from our parent. So let's say that the value that we want to have is the search text. So we'll have search text, and beside that also set search text. So search text and the set search text, so these two will be our props, and we'll use search text for our value, and on change we will use our set search text. So we will have it here. So set search text, and inside that e.target.value. Great. So now we have our search bar ready, and here we can import it. And if I come here in our home page, in our website, I can see this search text, search bar. Great. And also one thing I will have here is our placeholder. I will say search meals, and that's all. Now we have our search meals placeholder. So here in our meals page, here you can see I'm having this class. This class is actually wrong. So here after the meals we will have our double underscore. So now if I do it correctly, no, still wrong. Meals page, and if I come here meals, this is fine. We are not okay. Now we are having the space. So great. After our this search text, we'll have a point text. So let's actually have the point text component. Right now we do not have that. So in our text, let's get a new file with the name of point text. So I just forgot to add the JS here, and beside this file we also need one more file, which is the style file. So point text.module.css, And here let's copy my point text SCSS, and in our point text RFCE to get a functional component, and also here import classes from point text dot module dot SCSS. Once we have that, sorry, it will be SCSS here. So once we have that, after that, so here in our div we'll have a class name where I will say I will have a class here, so I will use class X and import it, and here I will have classes dot point text, and beside that we'll have class name. So this class name we need to destructure, and beside this class name we also need children. And here in our this div, inside that we'll have a circle. So let's have a class name classes dot circle, and after that we'll have our text. So this is the component that we already have, and inside that we'll have our children. Great, now we have our point text and I want to use that. So point text and import that, and here let's say that, and let's actually paste the text here, and if I come here I can see my point text. Great, looking good. And after that I will go to my next thing. So in our point text I also need to add a style here. So class name will be classes dot text, and if I do that I think it will add some space in the top. You can see after our point text we will have all of our categories listed. So let's actually create a categories component, and for that in our components folder let's create a new folder with the name of categories, and inside of our categories folder we will have all of the categories component. So let's get a new file with the name of categories.js, and we also need the style here. So categories.module.scss, module something like that, SCSS. So here in our categories we need our style. So let me copy the style and paste it here. So here in our categories.js, so let's get a functional component. So inside that we will have a div, and also let's import classes from /categories.module.css. Great, now we can use our categories classes here. So class name classes dot, so this will be categories container. So great, so inside that we will have all of our categories mapped. So we need to actually get all the categories from the parent. So let's actually come here and have all the things. So to have the categories, first thing that I will do is I will fetch the category. So for that come here in our index.js. So for that let's come here in our meals page, which is the inside the meals we have this index.js. So this is where we will fetch all the data. So here in this meals page I need to actually use my React query to fetch the categories. For that inside of our this component, let's actually rename that. Let's make it meals. Okay, meals. So now it is a proper component, and inside that I will use my use query. So constant, and here let's set the result, and I'll use query, and here first thing I need to do is I need to give it a name. So let's say that the name will be categories. So this is the unique name that you need to actually provide to all of your queries, so that you can identify it uniquely. And also beside that, if you want to provide any kind of parameter to the function that will fetch the data, you can actually pass it here, but in this case we do not want to provide any kind of parameter. So after that, all we need to do is we need to call the function. So the function that we need is the get categories. So this is the function, and we need to create the function. So this is the function where we will fetch all of the categories. So let's create the async, and here inside that we will use Axios to fetch all of our categories, and here we will use the API. So the project is based on this API, which is the meals DB. I think the meals DB API, if I search that, yes, I think this is the one. So you can see, so this is the meals DB, sorry, the meal DB. So that is the name of this API, and if you come here, the mealtv.com, you can come here for their API, and they have very nice APIs available to use, you can see, and this is what I will use. And for our Axios, I will actually set the default URL. So this is the default URL for this, and I can copy the default URL, and I can come here in my entry point, which is the app.js. So here I can actually put my default URL. We need to install Axios. Actually, we do not have Axios right now. So import, yarn add Axios, and it will add Axios here. So once we install Axios here, we can actually have our base URL. So axios.defaults.base URL, and here I will actually put my base URL. So let me actually copy it one more time. So this is the base URL, and copy that and put it over here. So now we have our base URL set up here, and now after that, whenever I will fetch any data, I just can use the path. So for that, in our get categories function, I'll use this Axios one more time, constant. So we will get the data, and I will use await and axios.get, and here instead of writing the full endpoint, I will just write the path. So here the path is the, if you come here in the API, you can see to get all the categories, you can actually provide this is the endpoint, right? And we already have the base URL, and after that we need to provide only this part, the path. So if I paste that, so great, it will actually fetch all the data from here, and once we have the data, we can actually return it. So return, so we will return it data.categories. So why data.categories? Because if I come here and copy this and paste it here, and you can see the response of these categories .php, and here you can see it is not directly actually getting all the categories. Inside the data we have the categories, and inside that we have an array of all of these, right? And we want the array directly, and that is inside the categories, and that's why instead of having the directly data, we will actually have the whatever we have inside the categories. So that's what I will return. And if I save that, we need to import use query from the React query. So now we have our result. So inside the result, we need to actually destructure all of the data, and also it will provide some other useful things, something like is loading and also is error. So this three thing is actually really important. If there is any kind of error, this will be true in this case, otherwise it will be false. If it is a loading, in this case it will be true, and otherwise it will be false. And by eventually, whenever the data will be available, we will have the data inside this. And one thing I will do is I will actually rename all of them. So instead of having the data, I will rename it categories, and also here I will say categories is loading, and same thing, categories is error. Great. So now we have our categories is loading and the categories is error, and that's what we need to pass inside of these categories. And I want to actually use that here. So let's actually use the categories and import it here and provide the all necessary stuff. So we need the data, categories, so I will provide that directly here, and I need to import I need to destructure it. So categories, I think with a small c here, yeah, with a small c. And also beside that we need to get the categories is loading and categories is error. Categories is loading will be categories is loading, sorry, this is the error one, right? So categories is error and categories is loading and categories is loading. So now we have all of them, and let me make it something like that so that we can have it nicely. So now we have all of the things that we need inside of our categories. Now all we need to do is we need to destructure. So is categories, sorry, categories is loading and categories is error. And I forgot to make this I capital. So now we have these three, and whenever we are having any kind of loading, we can actually show the loading spinner. I think for that I need to install one more package, so let's install that. And the package name is yarn add, let me actually check, it is the React spinner, so React spinners, something like that. So it will give us some cool spinner, and that's what I will use for the loading state. And to use that, here I will say if our categories is loading, if that is true, then I want to actually show the spinner. So to show the spinner here, I will use this React spinner, and from the React spinner, so the component name is the bitloader. Let's import it. So let me check what is the import here. So here you can see this is the bitloader, and that's all. I need to specify the color, so I can say color will be this white color. So now whenever this is loading, then we should see this spinner. So for that, if I come here in our project and if I refresh, I think we are not using it. No, we are using categories, which means we should see the spinner, but we are not. One thing also we can do here is we can actually use our DevTools, React Query DevTools, so the package that we installed already. To use that in our app.js, I can actually call our React Query DevTools. So here I'll say React Query Dev Tools. Import it. I do not know why it is actually having it from here. Copy that, and so this will be from the package that we installed beside the React Query. So this is the React Query DevTools, the package, and this is what we have. And here in our DevTools, one thing I can say is initial open will be the false. We do not wanna actually have initial open true for the panel. So let's actually come here in our website. Now I should see this panel, you can see. So you can see there is no query, only one we can see here, and there is no data for that. Let me actually check what is happening in our index. So we are using yes query, great, categories and get categories. Let's also if our categories is actually having the data, let's actually print it out as well. Categories dot map, so we'll map it. So for each of our item we can provide a, let's say that for now I will use a paragraph here, and inside that paragraph item dot str category, I think that is the name. Let me check one more time. str category, right? and that's all. And if I come here in my website, map cannot access property, map category is undefined. Yep, that is the problem. I think I did something wrong with the use query. Let me check the network. For now, let's actually comment it out and now check. So if I check that, I can see we are actually hitting the categories.php, but okay, I see. The problem is that okay, here is the problem. The base URL that we set in our app.js, you can see, so this is the URL, that is fine, but we also need to add the protocol here, so the HTTPS, and now it should be fine, I bet. Now if I actually check the request here, I can see this is the request and this is 200. Now it is working. And if I come here in the Explorer React query, you can see these are the all data, means these are the individual categories that we are looking for. And yep, and if I want to actually check the spinner, I can actually refresh this. No, we are not seeing the spinner. Okay, forget it. We will actually check it later. Now let's have back this code, and if I save that, now we should see this the text here, and you can see all the text for our each of the category. So here in our bet loader, we need to actually provide a loading state. So this will be the state which should control the loading. So here it will be category is loading. So if this is true, then we will see the loader here. I mean, if it is false, then we will not see it. So I think this is the case, and if I refresh now, categories.map is undefined. Why? Also, let's check the category is error. If it is true, then also I will return some error. Just return that. First of all, let's check the categories is available or not. If it is available, only then we will actually go ahead and map it. So now check it one more time. Okay, I see the problem is we forgot to add the return here, so that's why we are not seeing it. So if I add the return, now if I actually refresh this one more time, or you can actually come here in the query. So this is the category query that we are talking about, and if you reset that, you can see the loading state for a second. Yep, so that's what we are talking about here. So for each of our category, right now we are actually putting it inside of a paragraph, but we need a separate component. So let's get a new file with the name of category item. So category item.js, and also beside that we need the category item.module, so module.scss. so here let's paste the scss, and here for our each of our individual category, we will use this category item. So RFC to get a functional component here. So this category item will grab each of our category, so single category here. So I will say category, and here we also need some more thing, so I will get back to it later. And here what I will say is, first thing I will do, I will actually import my classes. So category item.module. And here inside the div, so this will be button actually, not the div, so button, and inside that we will have our category string, so category.str category, and in our button the type will be button, and here we'll have class name. So the class name that we want will be class X. So we'll have multiple class name here, so classes dot item first one, and also if it is selected, so this is selected, we will get back to it later. So first of all, let's have only this one, and we need to import the class X here. Once we do that, I think this will be fine, right? Something is wrong. I think this one will be parenthesis. So that's it. So now we have our individual item. So whenever we will loop through it, we will actually use our category item here, and inside that we need to provide our category. Category will be the item here, and also we need to provide the ID here. So I'll say item.strid. Let me actually check what is the name. It is ID category. So ID category, like that, and we need to import this category item. So once we do that, if I come here, I can see this nice category. All of them are having nice style. Great. So here also we need to do one more thing. We need to have a selected category. So for that, let's come here in our meals page. So in our meals page, we need a state for that. So here the state will be constant selected category and set selected category. So these two use the state, and here we will have empty string for the initial case. So once we have our selected category and set selected category, we need to put that in our categories prop. So selected category will be the selected category, and also set selected category will be also set selected category, and that's what we need to actually put. And here now in our categories, we can actually get that selected category and also set selected category. And selected category, whenever we will actually click one of the category item, then we will make it selected, and that's why we need to actually put these two inside of our category item. So selected category will be the selected category. And after that, instead of actually putting the set selected category here, what I will do is I will actually provide a handler. So this will be on click handler. So whenever we will click this item, what we want to do, so we will say we want to actually make this as selected category. I will say set selected category will be the, so this will be the current category. So I will say item.str category. So now it will make the current item a selected category whenever we will click it. So here in our item, we need to actually get that. So we need to get the selected category and also on click handler. So here I will say whenever we will click it, so on click we will call our on click handler that we got from the parent, and also we will use this selected category for our style only. So for that we need to check if it is a selected category or not, and for that I can say constant is selected. So now we can check, we can say category dot str category. So this is the string of the category. If that match with the selected category, then is selected will be true, otherwise it will be false. And based on that, is selected, if it is true, then we will add the class here. So class will be, so classes dot item underscore selected. So great. Now if I come here in our web page, if I click any of them, it will make it selected. You can see. Awesome. So now let's come back to our, let me actually close all the files and open up my meals page. So here we have our meals page. So now right now in our meals page, all we have is a search bar and categories, and after the categories we need to provide all the meal item. So whenever someone will select a category, then we will see all the meals which is in the category. So for that we need to actually fetch the fetch the meals based on the category, and for that we need to use this use query one more time. So constant result equals to use query. So we will query all the meals based on our category. So what we need to do is we need to say use query, and inside that we'll have this array, and the name of the query will be the meals by category. So category, and here we need to provide the category. So this will be dynamic, so we need to say the selected category, and here the name of the function, which will be get meals, and we need to actually make this function. So come here in the top, we can constant get meals, and this function will be async because we already know we will fetch the data inside this. So here I will say constant the data equals to await and axios dot get, and here let me check my. So if I come here in our this maildb API, you can see how we can actually get how it is. So if I search for category, list of category, so filter by category, so this is the one that we need. So filter by category, so which will give you the meals based on the category that you will define here. So after our base URL, we need to actually provide this one. So copy that, and here we need to actually paste it, and here you can see the seafood, this will be our dynamic. So let's actually make these backticks, and here we can use it. So to use that, we need to use our query key. So we need to destructure query key from the function prop. So query key, and here inside the query key we have the name of the query and the and this one, which is the selected category, and we need the selected category, and for that I can say query key, and inside the query key we need the first second one, so like that, and this K will be capital. So that's it. Now we should have our selected category in this position, and after that, once we have our data, I'll return, and I'll say data if we have data, and inside that if we have meals, we will actually provide that, otherwise we will provide an empty array. So that's all. So now this will be fine, and based on that we should have our result. And let's actually destructure all the things. We have data, we have is loading, we have is error. So now we have our data, we have is loading and is error. So these three things will be needed, and we can come here and we can check if it is loading. If it is error, then we can show something. So here first thing that I will check is loading. So is loading, if it is true, otherwise, so if it is true, and beside that we also we can also check the is category loading. I think, yeah, we can also check is category loading. Sorry, category is loading. So category is loading coming from this query, and is loading coming from that query. So if any of them is actually true, in that case we can show a loader. So here inside the div, so here I'll have a class here. So class name will be classes dot loading spinner, and inside the div we'll have our bit loader, and here inside the bit loader we can specify the color. So it will be white color, and loading state. So this loading state will be the same that we have here. So we can copy that. So we will have it loading if any of these two is actually true. So that's all. And also we can override the CSS here, so we will say override something like that. And also we can provide this object here. We can say we need to create that, we do not have it right now. And also we can provide the size, so let's say that the size will be 20, and let's get the override here. So override, so this one will be this object where we can provide some CSS which will override the default style. So display will be inline block, so this will be inside of this single quote. So inline block line, and also margin will be 0 and auto. I think that's all we need. We are actually doing it so that it appears in the center of this div, so that's why we just need that. And also we added this div here. You can see we do not need to add this div. The only reason that we added this div is we need to actually make it in the center. So once we check the loading here, if it is true, then that is fine. We will render this spinner. Otherwise we can actually make it null. Sorry, null will be something like that. And we need to import this. Great. So now we are actually checking our is loading. If it is loading and category is loading, if any of them is true, then we will see the loading spinner. Great. So now after that I will actually render my data, so which is the meals. And for that, first thing I'll do is, if there is no is loading, means if it is false, in that case if we have any kind of data, also we can actually check the error one, is error. So if there is no error, and after that we will say if the data is available, in that case I will map the data. So data.map, and for each of our meal we will render something. So for now let's create a paragraph, and inside that paragraph I will say meal.str title str meal, I think the name. And if I do that, if I come here in my website, nothing is happening. We should see so the data you can see it is empty. I do not know why. So let's check the network request. So okay, the data is empty because we are not having any kind of selected category. So if we have any kind of selected category, in this case we can see all the category title, sorry, all the meals title which is inside this category. So great. So one thing we are missing is that we do not have any kind of selected category initially. So for that I can use effect. So here, before we go to our return, I can use effect here. So inside this use effect I can say if we have the categories, in that case I will use set selected categories, and I will make it categories. From the categories item I will select the first one and str category. So this is the name of the category, str category, and that's what we will select. So we need to import this. I think we need to make this dependency array, and inside the dependency array we need the category as the dependency. So now we have this. So now if I come here in my web page, and if I refresh, we will have automatically selected the first one as a default selected category, and we will see all the meals. So great. Once we have all of them, instead of having the paragraph like that, what I will do is I will create a component for it. So here in our meals page, let's create a new file with the name of single meal card.js, and also beside that we need a style. So single meal card.module.scss, and we will have the, so copy the scss and paste it here, and come here in our single meal card, and here in our single meal card, first thing I'll do is create function component and import the classes. So single and here in our div, we will have, instead of having a div, I will have a link here, and we will have the link from our component, sorry, from our next link. And here in our link, we will actually make the href. So for the href, whenever we will click the single meal, we will go to the single meal page. So this is the card actually. So whenever I will click the card, it will go to the, it will take us to the single meal page, and the single meal page will be inside of our meals page. So I will say inside of our meals page we will have our single meal page. So for each of our single meal page we will have the id as a path. So here I will say, so to get the id, first thing I need to do is I need to destructure the meal. So this meal will be provided from the parent, and here I will say meal dot id meal. So this will be the id for individual meal. And now inside the link we can actually create a component. So we need this anchor tag, and we need class name here and classes dot item. So inside this anchor tag we need our image, and here we'll have class name, and we'll have, we do not need class name actually here, so let's delete that. So only the image, and we need the image from the next slash image, and here we need the source, and the source will be meal dot str meal thumb, and height and width. So the height will be, let's say that 200, and the width will be 200 as well. So now we have our image, and after that we need the title, and here we need to grab the title. Okay, we need class name here. So the class name will be classes dot title, and here we will use the meal title. So let's say that meal dot str meal, and also the variant for this will be the secondary. Great, and try to import it one more time, not getting it. So import title from, let's get back one more directory, and here we have inside the text, I think we have the title. Yeah, great, now it should be fine. Now if I come here in my web page and refresh, we are not using it, so let's use that. So index page meals, here instead of this I will use single meal card, and here we will provide the meal, and this will be the meal. And also for the id, sorry, for the key I will use meal dot id meal. That's it. So now if I do that, okay, we are having some error here. Okay, whenever actually Next.js, whenever Next.js is actually trying to get the image for our single, you can see this is not our local image, this is coming from MailDB API. So we need to actually add this in our next config. So in our next config, here you can say, we can say images will be inside that the domain, and we need to provide the domain here. So it will be www.themaildb.com, and that's it. And I think we need to actually rerun the server one more time, and now it should be fine. If I refresh that, now the images should be here. Now yeah, we are getting the images, as you can see. Still there is no style, but we are getting all the items, as you can see, selected category. So if I select another one, you can see it is changing based on our select. Awesome. So now we are done with our single meal card. We need to go back to our index page, which is the meals index. So here we need to wrap this whole thing in a div, which will have a class name of classes.meals container, like that, and we need to wrap this with that. And if I do that, now we should have the nice style, as you can see. Awesome. And also this is responsive, I believe. Yep, looking good. So now we are having our meals based on our category. And next thing that I will do is I will actually work on our search. Right now it is not doing anything, so let's actually work on that. So for that we need some state. So let's declare the state first of all. So in our meals page, here you can see we are having the selected category. After that, let's also have the, so here we need to add the search text and set search text. And will be from user state, and this will be empty by default. Now we have our search text and set search text, and beside that also we need the query. So let's add that query and set query. Will be from our user state. So great, now we have these two state, and in our search bar we need to provide the search text. So here I'll say search text will be the search text, and set search text will be the set search text. Now if I come here in our search bar, here I will actually get the search text and set search text, and that is we are using. And now we need to use that to get the query. So for that I will use effect here one more time. So use effect. So inside this use effect, so for now let's actually make it empty dependency array. And here I will say first of all I will create a timer. So set timeout, and it will be 300 millisecond. So constant timeout equals to, it will be set timeout. And here in our set timeout, this will be callback function, and inside that we will actually call this function after 300 millisecond. And here I will say if we have any kind of search text inside, if we have any kind of search text available, we will make it query. So I will say set query will be the search text that we have. And also in this case we will say the set selected category will be empty. So if we are searching something, so if I come here in our project, if we are searching something, that means the result should be based on our search, not the selected category. So that's why we need to remove the selected category whenever we are searching. So here set selected category, and after that, if we do not have any kind of search text, in this case I will say set query empty, and we need to actually select the default selected category, so which will be the first one. So if we have any kind of categories, and I will say set selected category will be the category item, first one, the str category. So that's what we need to do. So one more time, let's go through. So if we have any kind of search text, we'll make the query whatever the search text is, and after that we will remove the selected category. If there is no search text, which means we are not searching, then we'll make the query empty, and we will make the default set selected category, which is the first one. Great. And here we need to add the search text and the categories. So here we are having this timeout constant, which is the set timeout. So whenever we will re-render this, we will say return, and here whenever we will return, we can actually clear the timeout. So before it will re-render, it will run this return. So here I will say set category will be empty, and we will say the clear timeout, and the name of the timeout is the timeout, this one. And if I save that, that will be fine. So whenever we will re-render, we will clear the query, we will clear the timeout, and it will get the new set timeout, and we will actually wait for 300 milliseconds. So that is fine. So whenever we will type any kind of search, so whenever we will type anything inside this search bar, it will wait for 300 milliseconds, and if we do not type in this 300 milliseconds, then it will actually go ahead and set the query. If we continue type, then it will not set the query, because it will clear the timeout, because every time we will type here, it will render this. So let's try it. So now if I come here, and to see that, I can actually come to the components, and here come to the components and get the search mail. So this is the search bar, you can see, and here we have two things. We have search bar, we need to go to the mails actually. So here you can see in the mails we have three states. The first state is for our category, selected category, which is already selected, beef. And after that, the second one, the state, you can see it is empty, and we have third one, which is also empty. So these two are this select search text and the query. And if you just notice here, if I actually search for, let's search for site, you can see the first thing that we had is this one. Whenever we are typing, we had this one, and after the 300 milliseconds we have that. This is the query, this is the search text, and right now we do not have any kind of selected category, because whenever we have set query, we cleared out the selected category. And if I actually remove the query, then we have our selected category, because if we do not have any kind of search text, in this case we will have the selected category selected. So great. So now we have our search text and we have our query, and based on that query we can actually fetch the data. So for that I need to use the use query one more time. So let's do that. So result equals to use query, and here inside that the name of that will be mails by query. This will be inside of an array, and here we need to provide the query, and we can say query, and here the name of the function. So the name of the function will be get queried queried meals. And I think I have a misspell here, so like that. So get queried meals, and constant get queried meals equals to, so this will be async function, and here I will have this function where I will fetch my data, and here we need to destructure the query key, and constant data equals to, and await axios dot get, and we need to query. So for that, it will be, the path will be /search and .php, and after that we have our search, and search equals to, we need to provide this, so we need to make this backtick, and also this one, and inside that we will use query key and the second one. So great, it will fetch the data, and based on that we will return the data. So return data, if we have data, in this case we will return the meals, otherwise we will return empty array. So great, so now we should have the result, and from here we can actually restructure this. So I will say the data, and the data we will call that data queried. So queried data, and beside that is loading, and let's call it query is loading, something like that. So we will not destructure anymore. So these two, so data and is loading, and after that if I come here, so now come here where we are actually we are having our data here, you can see. So beside that we also need our queried data. So we will actually show that if there is no is query is loading, if it is not true, then we will check for our queried data. So if queried data is true, in that case I will say queried data dot map, and we will do the same thing that we did here. So if for each of our meals we will return something, and we will return the single meal card, and here for single meal card we will actually need to provide the meal, and the meal will be this one, not the s here. Great, and also for our key we can provide the meal dot id meal. So great, now if I come here and if I try to search anything, so let's say that we have chicken items, and if I try to search for bacon, now we are having the bacon, you can see. So one thing you can see here, whenever I am actually so right now we are selected this category, which is the goat, and we are having the goat meal, but beside that we also have the queried meal. So right now we are searching for bacon, and these two are coming from the queried meal. So we do not want to have the queried meal whenever we are actually having a selected category. So to do that, all we need to do is we need to come here in our query, and we need to make this query available based on a condition. So here what I will do is, whenever we are actually having the get queried meals, beside that we can provide some options, and here I will say this will be enable whenever we have any kind of query. So I'll say if we have query, so this enable will take boolean value, so we can provide enable true or false. So we will make it true if our query is not empty. So if we have any kind of query, then it will be true. If this is empty, then it will be false. And also here, whenever we are getting this data based on our get meals by category, so also here we need to provide this. So enable. So if query is empty, so whenever the query is empty, then we want the categories mill, selected category mill. If the query is not empty, means it will be false, then we will disable this. So that's all. So based on our query, so if we have query, then we will disable this. If we do not have query, then we will disable this. So now if I come here, and now you can see we do not have any kind of selected category. If I actually select this one, okay, we are still having it. Let's refresh and try it one more time. Let's come here in the goat and let's search for vegan. We are having vegan, and if I come here goat, and still we are seeing the goat. So whenever we have a selected category, okay, I think okay, one more thing we need to do here. Yes, as a really important thing that I forgot. So this set query, we need to put this set query in our categories, so that set query equals to set query. So now if I come here in our categories, and we will have our set query here, and whenever we will click any of here, you can see in our on click handler, whenever if we click any kind of category item, in that case we need to do one more thing here. So in that case we will actually make this something like that. So here we will do two things. So we will set the selected category, and decide that whenever we will do a set selected category, we will say the set query will be empty. So that's what we are missing. So whenever we will click any kind of any category item, we will make that selected category, and we will actually make the set query empty. So now it will be fixed. Now if I come here, now if I come here and search for vegan, we will see vegan, and if I come here in the goat, you can see it is making the set query empty, and that's why we do not see any kind of set query data, queried data. Still we have the text, but we are not having the data. So because this is the search text, and we need to actually we are doing the query based on our query text that we have here, and this is now empty right now. And if I do have new one, so let's say that we'll have the pasta. Now you can see, great, we have our selected category meals, and we have our searched query. Awesome. So after that, here we will create the single meal page. So for that, in our meals folder, let's get a new file. So this will be dynamic, the name will be dynamic name. So here inside of a square bracket, we will use the id and .js. so this will be for our single mail page. So here first thing that I will do, I will create a functional component, and here instead of this I will say single mail page, and that's all. And here I'll have that. So in our single mail page, we need to import the style. So we will use the same style that we used here. So this will be the mails.module.scss. So import classes from mails.module.scss, like that. So here inside of this div, now we need to create a class name, and this class will be classes.page wrapper. And here inside the div, we'll have our div with a class of class name of classes dot top container, and inside that we will have our image. So div with a class of classes dot image, like that, and inside that we will have our image. So we will have the image. First of all, we need to get the meal, the single meal that we are talking about. So to get the meal, let me comment it out. So to get the meal, first thing that we need is the ID. So we will get the ID from our query. So for that we can use constant router equals to use router. So this is the hook that we will use, which will be coming from next router. And once we have our router, we can actually get the ID from that. ID equals to, we can actually destructure this ID from the query. So router dot query. Now we have the ID of this meal. So now here we have the ID for the meal, and using this ID we will actually get the meal. So constant data and is loading, is error, and use query. So not queries, query. So we will use that and we will import that from the React query, and inside that we need to provide the name. So that will be single meal, and here we need to provide the ID. So after that we need to call the name of the function. So get single meal. So we need to create the function here, constant get single meal equals to async function, and inside this async function we will have our fetch data. So we will use Axios here. So data equals to, let's get the Axios dot get, and we need to also await that, and here we need to get the single meal, and for that the path will be lookup dot php, and we need to, let me actually check it from the meal.db API. So to get the single meal with the ID we need to do this one. So this is the path here, you can see. So copy that and paste it over here, and if you want you can provide a / here. So now this ID will be dynamic, and we need to do that inside of the backticks. So now inside of the backticks we can use our JavaScript, and here I will use the ID, and this ID, this is not really the ID. We need to destructure the query key, and inside the query key we have our ID. So query key, and inside that we have ID, which is the second one. And once we have our data, and now we can actually return the data. So return data. If we have data, then inside that we should have meals, and we want the first one because this is inside of an object, and we do not want this is inside of an array. All we want is the first object, which is the actual meal. So that's all. We need to also make it something like that. So we are actually chaining it. So conditional chaining, I think that's what it calls, but it is actually making sure that before it is going to the meals, it is making sure that we are having the data, and before it is going to the first item of an array, it is making sure that we are already having meals. So that's what it will do. So once we are actually having that, we will return the meal, then we will get it inside of our data, and now we can use that. And here first of all, let's actually check if there is an error. So if is error, then I can return paragraph, or we can return text here. So this is an component, and inside that we can actually so we can also destructure the error here. If there is an error here, I will say I will show the error dot message like that, and also I will provide the error this text, something like that. So if there is an error, I will actually show the error dot message, and after that I will check for our is loading. So if is loading is true, which means it is loading, and there is no data, also I will check if there is no data, then I will show my bit loader. So return bit loader, I think that's the name. So we need to import it, and let's import it here. So bit loader from the React spinner, and that's all. Now we have our loader, and we can actually show that here. So this will be or, not and. So if there is loading or if there is no data, in both case I will show my bit loader, and that's all. Let's say that color will be white. Great. And finally, if it is fine, means if there is no loading, in this case that data is available, and in that case I will actually show the data here, and let's actually show it. So I will use the cover image here, the thumbnail, so image, and this will be from the React image, sorry, Next image. Source will be, so source will be data.str thumb, and also the height will be 300, and width will be 300 as well. Great. Now we have our image, and after that let's come here, let's have a class name, and we will have our info here. So let's say that class name with classes dot info. Inside that we will have our title, so title, something like that, and here I will say variant will be primary, and the title will be data.info mail. Great. So now we have our title, and let's check it out. So if I come here in my localhost, I can see, so if I click any of them, it should take us to the single mail, and here is the single mail. So we are having something wrong here, so import this. Title is not defined. I think we need to import title from component text title. And now we have the cover image, but we are not having the title. Okay, let's see. Okay, so this is not info model, sorry. So data dot strmail, so this will be our title, so strmail. And if I come here, now I can see my title, you can see here. Awesome. So now if I check another one, and if I come here, let's say that pasta, and if I do this, yep, it is actually great. So now we are having our title, and after the title we will show some more information about the dish or meal. So for that I will use point text, and here import that point text, and here for each of our point text I will use the first one will be data dot category, str category actually, and here I will say category text, and we need to manually import that, and before that let's have a class name. The class name will be classes dot info text. Let's go to the top and let's import point text from dot slash component slash text slash point text. Great. So now if I come here in our website, I can see category pasta. Great. So now I need to come here, and like the category we need to add one more text here. So this one will be area, and here I will say str area, like that. And one more thing I will need to do is the tags. So this will be same point text, and here I'll say text. So tags will be an array. So it will not be an array, it will be any string, but there are no separation between each of our tags. So that's why first of all I will do is, so if we have data, in this case we must have data. So data dot str tags dot split. So we'll split that with semicolon, sorry, with comma. Then we'll get each of our tags in an array. So after that I will join the array with the separation of comma and a space. And if I do that, now I should data.str tags is null. Okay, I need to actually make it like that. So we will go further if it is available. Now we can see so there are no tags. Why? So let me actually check that. Single mail, and we are having the data. Str tags null. Actually there are no tags. So if I come here and search for, take this, now I can see it is working. Yep, tags. In some mails there are tags, but in some other we do not have tags. So that's why we need to actually check that. So yeah, the tags are working. So after that let's actually go to the next part, which is the ingredients table. So let's come here. After the all of our information and all of the top container, so this is the top container. After the top container we will have a div where we will have class name ingredients table, and inside that we will have our ingredients table, which will be a component. And for that I need to go to our components folder, and here I will go to the meals. So inside the meals let's create a new file, ingredients table.js, and also we need to create new style as well. So ingredients table. And let's actually get the css from our ingredients table and paste it here. So that's all. Come here in our ingredients table, and here we will create a functional component. So inside this functional component we will say, so this will be table, so HTML table here. And after that inside the table we will have our let's wrap it, and here we will have our title. So title, and here I will say this will be a class name classes dot title, and also here we will have the title ingredients like that. And also let's have the classes from module.css. So now we have that, and after that inside the table we will have our table body, and inside the table body we will have our table row. So for each of our item ingredients we will have our table body, we'll have our row. And before I go further, I need to actually get that ingredients. So right now we are not having that, and this is really a interesting part, because if I come here in our website and if I search for any kind of meal, so this is a single meal, if I search for that, or if I actually request that, the response will be something like that. And if you notice here, these are actually ingredients. So there will be 20 ingredients available slot, and only some of them will have the value, and otherwise some will have empty value or null. And same will be for measure. So for each of our ingredients there will be a respective measure, as you can see. So also they will have 20, so 20 slot, and some of them will have value and other will not have the value. So we need to actually get them together, and for that we need to actually come here, and after this part, so we need to actually do it after this part, because after this part we are sure that the data is ready. So we have the data. If we try to do that here or there will be some issue, because in many cases data will not available. In many cases it will be loading true. If it is loading true, that means there is no data. So we will do it here where the loading is false. We already have the data. Now we will say constant ingredients equals to, and we will get that from the object dot keys, and here I will provide the data, and we will filter the data, and here inside that for each of the key we will filter it. We will take only those which starts with str ingredients. So if I come here, you can see these are the ingredients, right? So you can see that these are the ingredients, and we are actually filtering based on the property here. You can see, so the key should be starts with str ingredient, and after that we have the index. So that's not the part. So these should start with str ingredients, and we will take only those. So we have 20 of them, and we will take all of them. So that's what we will do here. So once we have all the property that starts with str ingredients, and after that we need to filter one more time, so that we can get rid of empty values. So for that I can say filter one more time. For the key we need to check the data key, means the value is not equal to empty, and also data key is not equal to null. So we will actually get rid of all the null value and all the empty value, and we will get only the ingredients, those will have the value in it. So now once we have the ingredients inside of an array, if I want to actually show you, I can console log that. So ingredients, and if I wanna see that, I can come here, and in our console log now we have an array. Okay, this array is not having any kind of value in it. Something wrong, right? We should have 16 ingredients in this case. that we are having empty. So let's see what I did wrong here. So str ingredient, so yeah, I see what we did wrong. So it is str ingredient, not the str ingredients, so we need to remove the s here. So now it should be fine. Now if I come here in our project, now you can see this array is having 16 length, so which means all of the ingredients, so from str ingredient 1 to str ingredient 16, all of them are actually having inside of this array. So we are having the ingredients, right? So using that ingredients, we can actually get the measure. We do not need to actually do it like the way we did with the ingredients. We can actually get it with the index, because if we have ingredients number 1 and it has value, which means it will also have the measure, right? If the number 16 ingredients have the value, which means number 16 of measure will also have the value here. So that's what we will use. And so let's say constant ingredients with measure. So ingredients with measures, and here I will map through each of our ingredients, and for each of them I will return something. So here I will say key and index. We need index in this case. So for each of them I will return an object, and inside that object I will have the ingredients name, index, and the measure. So index will be whatever index that we have here plus 1, because the index of this array will start from the 0, but the index that we have here starts from the 1, you can see. So after that we will have the ingredient. So this is the actual ingredient, and this will be data. Here we need to provide the key, right? And also for the measure, we do not have the measure, right? So how we can get that? So this is really simple. So measure will be data, and here I will say str. So what is the name? So str measure, and after that the index, right? So str measure, and after that we need to provide the index, and there will be index plus 1. Great. So that's what we need, and we need to provide this inside of the table. So whenever we'll call that, we need to provide that. So let's also provide it here. So where we will call our table, so ingredients table, and so here inside that we need to provide ingredient with measure, and the value will be ingredient with measure. So great, now we can destructure that. So ingredient with measures. So ingredients with measures, I think so. There is, let me check, ingredients, yeah. So yeah, now we have our ingredients with measure, and we can actually loop through that. So inside of our table body, now we can map through our ingredients with measures. So ingredients with measures dot map, for each of our ingredient we will say we will return our table row, right? So table row, and here the key will be ingredient dot index, and inside the table row I will have the table data, and inside the table data I will have text. Where, let's import the text first of all. So where first thing that I will have is the ingredient name. So I'll say ingredient dot ingredient, and after that we'll have our second table data, and the text will be ingredient dot measure, like that. Now if I come here in my website, I should see the table. Yep, we have the table, but it is not having the proper styling. So let's see. So table body. Okay, so we have the table, and here inside the table we need the class. So class name will be classes dot ingredient table, ingredients table actually. So if I come here, now we are having it properly. So refresh, let's see if there is any error. No error, you can see, and we have nice table here. So great. Once we have the table, we can go to the next section, so which is the instructions. So for the instruction, let me actually show you what are the instructions. And if I come here, so here you can see we have this string of instructions that we need to actually show, and I want to actually show them as a point. So for that I need to actually process it. So for that, let's come here in our id.js. After our ingredient table, we can create a new div. Here we will have a class name, classes dot, and it will be classes dot instructions, and inside that we'll have our title. So this title will be, let's say that instructions. So after that we need to actually come here and get the data.str instructions, and after that I will split I will split the string based on the dot. So now we will have each of the sentence in an point of an array. So inside of an array we'll have each of our sentence, and now we can filter that. So if there is any sentence which is empty, so I'll say sentence. If any sentence is empty, then I will actually remove it. Otherwise I will keep going, and after that the final array I will map that. And for each of our sentence I will render something. So for each of our sentence I will use my point text here. So point text, and let's have the component properly. So now inside this I will have my sentence, and also I will have a dot here. So great. Now if I come here in our website, now you can see all of them are actually all of them are inside of an individual string, you can see. So great. So previously you can see it was this kind of a long string. Now we actually divided it into multiple small string, as you can see here. So great. So now we have our instructions, we have our these ingredients. So final thing for this for this single page, I need to add a button here, which will be whenever we'll click we will save the meal, and we will get the saved meals inside of this saved list. So for that, let's actually create a button, and before that I'm having this error, which is, I believe it is coming from here because we are not having any kind of key here. So let's say that key will be the sentence, because the sentence will be unique. So great, now it will be fine, and let's create the button. And for that, come here somewhere here, I think after all of our info text we will add the button here. So for the button I will say button, and here I will say variant, and the variant will be primary, and I will say safe. Let's actually get the button like that, and if I come here in our website I can see the button, and also here I think we need some class. So let's also add the class. So class name classes dot save button. Great. And if I come here, so right now we are having our button, and it is having the save button class, and inside that we will have our text. So here I will say on click I'll do something, right? So I will save this meal in our local host. So for that I will create a function. Let's say that handle save button click, handle save button click, and I'll create the function here somewhere. So constant handle saved button click equals to, so this will be a function where we will actually process the request. And before I go further here, I need a state for our saved. So here I will have, not here, actually here. So this is our component, and here I will say constant is saved or set is saved, and by default use state, and by default it will be false. So here also one more thing I need to do is I need to actually check it whenever we will load the component. I will check it. So use effect, I will check the meal if it is saved or not. So first of all I will go to the localhost. So local storage, I'm keep saying actually localhost, it will be local storage. So local storage dot get item, and the name of the item is the saved meal. And here once we have that, I will say if we have our saved meals in the local storage, in that case I will get the saved meals, and here I will say json dot parse, and we will parse the saved meals, and for that I need to say I need to get that. So I can do the same thing that I did here, copy that and paste it here. So now we will get the local storage saved meals, and we will parse it and make it JSON. Now we have an object where I think we have an array of saved meals, right? So now once we have that, then I will check the saved meals dot if it includes. So if it includes the ID, so if we have ID inside of our saved meals, then I will say set is saved true, otherwise set is saved false. Great. So now we need to actually make it the dependency array. So here I will add the ID. So now based on that, it will actually set the state, so it could be true or false. So if it is true, means we already saved the meal. If it is false, it is not saved yet. So that's what we need to process in our this handle saved click. So here I will say if local storage dot get item saved meals. So if we have the saved meals, or first thing I will do is if we do not have any kind of saved meals, in this case I will create an item in our local storage. So local storage dot set item, the name will be the same, so saved meals, and the value will be the JSON dot stringify, and here inside that I will provide an array. Inside this array I will have my ID, so data dot ID meal. Great. So if it is null, then I will do that, I will create new one, and after that I can have a toast message, toast dot success. I can say meal saved successfully, like that. So now come to the else part. So else if we have any kind of if we already have the saved meals in our local storage, in that case I will get the saved meals equals to json.parse local storage dot get item, and the name of that is the saved meals. So now we have our saved meals, and after that I will actually see if it is saved already. If it's saved. So if it is already saved, in that case I will actually get rid of the ID, but if it is not saved I will actually push it inside the array. So if it is not saved, in this case I will say saved meals dot push, and I will push the data dot id meal. So we will save only the ID here. So after that I will say local storage dot set item. We will set the item back to the local storage with the new item actually. So saved meals, and here I will say json dot stringify, and here I will provide my saved meals. Now here one more time, let's actually go through. If we do not have the, if is saved is false, which means we did not saved this meal, in this case we will save it, means we'll push our new ID to the saved meals array, and I will set back to the, I will set it back to the local storage. So now that is fine. After that I will go here and also do a toast message that I saved the meals successfully. That is fine. And also I think we should make the set is saved now true, because we just saved that. And finally, if it is already saved, in this case what should we do? So we will splice out the saved ID. So first of all I need to actually say saved meals dot splice. For that we need to provide the index of the saved meals inside of the saved meals array. So for that I will say saved meals dot index of. So index of, and here I will say data dot id meal, and how many you want to splice out from this index. I want to splice out for only the one. So that's what I just said here. So now we just splice out the saved ID. Now in this array we do not have the ID anymore. So that means we can say local storage dot set item. We need to set it back here. So inside the local storage saved meals, and the json dot stringify, and we need to provide the saved meals. Great. And finally set saved meals. Right now it should be false because we just spliced out the ID from the array. And finally toast message, and I will say toast dot error, and I will say meal removed successfully. Great. So now we have that, and something is wrong here. So let's say that saved, not saved, it should be only save. So let's remove the D from here. So now this should work with our local storage. So now come here and remove that. So right now in our local storage there is no item, and if I click that it should create a new saved meals item. So if I click that, nothing is actually appearing here. So let's come here in our console. Still we do not have the item. On click, I think in our button we are not having any kind of on click. So yeah, that is a problem. So because if you remember, we have two kind of buttons. One is button with link and other one is button without link. So this is a button without link, which means it should have something on click. So we need to get that on click here. So Now we will actually do it here on click, just add the on click. So now it should be fine. So now whenever I am sending the on click here, it should get it. Now if I come here in our website, let's check it out. So if I click that, come here in our storage, in the local storage, and if I click the save button, now you can see saved mails, and inside the saved mails we have the ID, which is the current mail ID. So great. If I say if I actually click it one more time, you can see the problem. Okay, something is wrong. Let's check it out one more time. Why we are having 2 1. Okay, now it is working. You can see now if I click, we are having the ID. If I click it one more time, it is actually removing the ID from the array. So great. Okay, and one thing, let's check. So this text is actually small, so let's get back to the app. So here I can see what I did wrong. So I have the toast options, and inside that I have another toast options, so which is not what we want. So let's remove the second one. So now inside the toast options we have the style. Now it should be fine. Now if I click the save, so now we can actually see it clearly. It is having the correct font size. So now let's come back to the id.js. So here we need to change a little bit in our button. So here we have the button, here it is. So inside the button right now we are having the save only. So we will not actually have the save here. So we will check our is saved. If it is true, then we will have something. So we will have the, if it is already saved, then we will actually change the text and make it remove. And also beside that we will have an icon here. So fa heart broken, and we will get that from React icons, and we need to install that. npm yarn add React icons. So like that, and now we will have our React icons. So now here if our is saved is true, then we will actually make the text remove, and here in the else part we will say here save, and also before that we will have a heart icon here. So fa heart, not like that, so like that. And these two will have some class. So let's actually have the class here. Class name will be classes dot save icon, and also this one will have the class name dot we need to import this from the React icons. So let's do it here. Import this and fa heart from React icons / fa. Great. Now if I come here in our website, I should see something. Save icons, sorry, it will be classes dot. So now if I come here in our website, here you can see this. Okay, we are having that, but for some reason lots of style is not actually missing. So we are having the classes from here. let's remove this, and instead of that, and also for our button, what was the class? Save button, classes.save button. And let's go to the button that we have, and okay, we are not having our class names, and put it here. So now it should be fine. And if I come here, now we are having this top gap, as you can see. So great. And if I click it, okay, we need some space between icon and text. So come here, and let's actually do that. So in our id.js, we need some space between these two, and for that I will add this, and same thing for this one as well. So now greatly we have that. And also whenever it is already selected, I want actually have a green text, so I will have it before our button. So here I will say if is saved is true, then if is saved is true, then I will have my text. So inside the text, so this will be the text component, and here I will say you already saved the mail, and here I will have a class name. The class name will be classes dot green text. So that's all. And if I save that, I can come here in my website, I can see you already saved the mails. You can remove it. And if I come here in my storage, local storage, you can see I already saved that. I can remove it. Now I can have this. So let's come back and try to save another one. You can see these two are now saved. And if I search for good and come here and save it, great, now we have 3 saved mail, and that's all. And come here, you can see it is already saved. Okay, great. So now after that, let's come to our saved list page. So I think this should be saved list, not list, this one. So let's come here in the nav, let's change that nav, and here is the list. So this will be a single list which we saved, and that's all. And now let's actually work on that. So for that, in our pages, let's create a new file with the name of saved mails, saved mails.js, and here I will create RFCE, I will create functional component, and let's actually rename it and make this as capital. Now we have our saved mails. Great. So here in our saved mails, first thing I will do is I will create the state. So the state will be saved mails, so saved mails ID actually, and also set saved mails ID and use state, and this will be empty by default, empty array. So now first thing that I need to do is I need to get the ID. So use effect, so using the use effect we can get that. So inside of this use effect, so this will run once, and I will make this empty dependency array. So here I will say if we have any kind of saved mails here, so local storage dot get item saved mails. In that case, I will actually set our saved mails ID will be JSON dot stringify dot JSON dot parse. We need to parse it, and here I need to say local storage dot get item, and the name will be saved meals. If we have saved meals, that's what I'm saying here. If we have that, then we will actually get it and we will parse it and we will set to this state. That's all, and I need to save that. So now whenever the component will load, the first thing that it will do is it will actually check this, and we will get our saved meals here if we have any. So after that, what I need to do is I need to actually query the individual meal by the ID that we have, and for that I need to say constant. Here we cannot use query because there are multiple query, and multiple ID, and for that we need to do the multiple query. So instead of having multiple query, I will use queries, which will do the similar thing. Result use queries. So use queries, so it will take an array of individual query. So I will have the query here, so let's say that constant query queries equals to, and it will be saved meals id dot map. We will map through each of our ID, and for individual ID we will say, so we will actually set the option for the query. So for individual ID, so we need to actually return that. So instead of having curly brackets, I can use this parenthesis, which means it will return whatever inside that. So inside that I will have the object. So inside the object I will say query key equal, so the query key will be single meal so this is the query name that we already used, and actually that's what we used in our single means id.js file, if you remember. So here it is, use query single meal. So this is the query that we will reuse, and here inside the beside the query we need the ID, so we need to provide that. And also for the function we need to use the same function that I used for this query, which is the get single meal, and we need to export that here and come here and get it. So query fn equals to and get single meal, and here it is, we just imported this. So it will map through each of our ID, means this one, each of our ID, and it will actually return this query for each of our ID. So now we have an array where inside that we have these queries, and we can use this array queries here. It will actually use this and it will get the result. Now based on the result we can actually show them. So here let's come here, let's say that classes. So first of all we need the styles, so let's get a new file here. So let's say that saved meals dot module dot css, and not css, this will be scss. Let's actually copy that, paste it, save it, come here and import it. Import classes from, we need to go to our saved meals dot module dot scss. Great. So now we have the classes and we will use it here. So class name will be classes dot, so it will be page wrapper, and inside that we'll have our title, and this title will be from here, and inside that we will say my save mail list, and here we will have variant primary class name classes dot page title, like that. And after that we'll have div where we will have the list. So class name classes dot list container, and inside that we will have our saved meals, and for that we need to look through our result. So first thing that I will do is I will actually check if there is any kind of saved meals. So I can check it with the saved meals ID. So if it is dot length, if it is equal or less than 0, in that case we do not have any kind of saved meals. I will say text and I will say you have no saved meals. Great, and that's it. So let's import this text. So if we have this check, and after that I will check our result. So I will say if we have result, in that case I will say result.map. We will map through each of our result, and for each of them I will destructure the data and the is loading, and beside that we also need the index, and here we will say is loading. If is loading, if it is true, which means it is still loading, then I will return something. So I will return the loader here. So I'll say bet loader, and here I will say the color will be white, and also the key will be, we are actually looping through, which means we need to provide a key for each of render. So here I will say the key will be saved meals ID and index. So that's all, and index, something like that. So now we have our is loading checked, and after that if it is okay, means if there is no is loading, and which means we have the data, and I can say return. In this case we will return the link. So this will be from next link, and individual link will be, so this will be our individual card here. So this will be anchor tag, and for individual link we need to add the anchor tag in our link, which is coming from the next, and here I will say it will be mails single page, and we need to add the ID here, right? So ID will be data.id mail. Great, and also we need to provide the key here. So we can use now the ID of the mail, data.id mail, and also inside this anchor tag we need to provide the class name here, and the class name will be classes dot single mail. So after that, inside that we will have our individual title. So let's import it. I think I already have it imported here. So the variant we will have is the secondary, and the text we will have is the data.html, and we will have also classes here. So classes will be classes.mail title, and if I do that I can come here, and if I open my saved me list, okay, use queries, we are doing something wrong here in the use queries. Let's check it out. So used, here it is, use queries. Okay, we need to put it inside of an object here, this use queries. Now it will be fine, and if I refresh, you can see now we have 3 saved meals, and if I open my local storage I can confirm that. So now we have these 3, and if I actually hover them, you can see it is actually linked with the single mail, and if I click that, you can see it is the saved mail. Great. And beside this text, beside this title, for each of our meal, saved meal, I mean, we need to we can show other information like the category, and here I will say category will be data.str category. Same will be for the area, str area, like that. And if I come here, now you can see it is having this nice more information about the meal. So greatly done. And after that, let's see what else we need here. And we need some page wrapper, and this page wrapper is actually something like that. Now it will have more space in the top and bottom. So that's all, I think. Now we are having it. And you can see each of them, it is already saved. Great. If I actually remove that, and if I come here in my saved mail, I can see these two only. So here we are using React query, which means we can cache our fetched data. So right now I'm in the saved meals and I saved these two, and that's why I already actually fetched these two items, right? So you can also see it here, we already fetched these two, which means if I go to inside of this single meal, so if I click that, it will take me to the single meal. You will see there will be no fetch to the API for this single meal because it is already saved, or it is already cached here. So if I go to inside that, you can see there is no API request for that because it is already cached, and React query will use the cached data here. And this is really cool, and you will see no loading data here, I mean loading state here. If you come here, you will see there is no loading state. But if you go to the something random, so let's say that I will go to this one, you will see there is this quick loading state because in that time it is actually fetching the data. And now if I come here for the second time, I think it is inside the starter. Yeah, if I come here in the second time, you will see there is no loading state. So this is really cool. And one more cool thing that we can do is we can prefetch the data. So this is really handy. So whenever someone will open up our application, we already know that if there is any kind of saved mail, he will go to the saved mail and we can actually prefetch the data for the user. So this is really handy. So right now if I come here in my website and if I refresh, right now there is no prefetched data, which means if I come to the saved mail, I will see this loading state. So let's actually come here in our not here, in our app.js, means in the entry point where we are actually setting our React query, and this is where we can have our prefetch. So for that I will use effect, and here inside this use effect I will say here, let's say that I will do it for only one time. So here first thing that I will do is I will check my local storage. So local storage dot get item, and name of that is the saved meals. And if we have saved meals inside of our local storage, which means we can get it. So saved meals JSON dot stringify, and we will go to the local storage dot get item and name it saved meals. And now we have that. For each of our saved meal, we can use for each because there will be no return value for each, and for each of our for each item I can say for each meal ID we can prefetch the data. So query client dot prefetch query, and here I can say single mail, the name of the query will be single mail. So this is the query that we already used, so this will require a mail ID beside that, and also the function. So the function is the get single mail. So this is the function that we already have. So if I save that, and here we can add our else part. I will say else, what I will do, I will say local storage dot set item, and I will actually create my saved mails, and as a value I will use an empty string, sorry, an empty array. So that's it. So once we have that, now if I come here in our React query, for each is not a function, for each saved mails, sorry, this will be parse. So we are actually we need to parse it before we have the array, and we need to actually stringify it before we save it. So local storage dot set item actually. So before we set it, we need to stringify it. Before we get it to our normal form, we need to parse it. So now if I come here in my home page, and if I refresh the whole application, you will see we have these two query already ran, and these two are for our local saved mails. Here you can see. So which means we already ran this query and it is prefetched, and we already have the data, which means if I come here in my saved mails, there will be no extra fetch request. The data is already there. So if I come here in the saved mails, there is no loading state. You can see there is no extra fetch request because we already fetched the data. And even if I go to the inside of the single mail page for one of them, I will not see any kind of fetch data to the API. So these two are the API request that I sent, and other than that there is no request. So you can also see it from here. So this is really great. And now we are done with our application. So hey guys, congratulations to you for finishing this video with me, and I hope that you guys enjoyed this video and learned something. So before I go, I want to say something. So if you learned something in this project, and if you like that, and if you want to support me, you can do that. So here you can come here in this URL. I will link it in the description. So from here you can buy me a cup of coffee. If you want to, you can come here and buy me a cup of coffee. So if you do that, I would really appreciate that. And that's all what I want to say, and I hope I will see you very soon in the next project. And till then, take care, bye bye, and Khuda Hafiz.